Yo, shalom, family. What it do, man? What it do? Hope y'all been well out there, man. So, Zamar. If you don't know, if you're new to the channel, man, I'm a musician, I'm a psalmist, I'm an artist. I make music for the betterment of my people. I make music to inspire. My overall vision with my music is for people to come in and to leave out empowered. You know what I'm saying? I want you to come in the state that you are, and I want you to leave out empowered when you listen to my music. So that's my overall goal. My goal when you listen to my music. I'm in my mid-20s. You know what I'm saying? I'm a young man that's just pursuing to continue to develop and be that role model that I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? Growing up for young men, and also for my young sisters. You know what I'm saying? Because there are some things that you can learn from the opposite sex as well. But with that being said, I Barack Yahuwah, man. Here again with another Chop It Up talk. You know what I'm saying? Let's build. So I was just thinking about how much the black community has failed. And what I mean by that is, as somebody that understands history and understand why history plays such an important role in our now, I take a lot of value in history. I'm very passionate about it. It's one of those things that if I see it a certain type of way and I just see it for what it is, there's not really a lot of ways I can be convinced from somebody that's of another race to tell me why and how I should feel on that. And the reason why I said it is because in America, they push a big culture of forgetting, let it go, but it's very deceptive, because if you forget everything that happened here in America, then that's like me thinking and saying that, the people that we are today, and when I say the people that we are, let me make sure this up enough. The people that we are today as black people, we just lack for no reason. And that's very far from the truth. There has been a lot of things that's been done from a strategic aspect, because when we was first brought here as cargo, you know what I'm saying, honestly, as slaves to benefit this system, to build this system up, there were a lot of things, man, that transpired throughout that whole situation. And when you look at how they had to mentally break us down for generation after generation, physically break us down for generation after generation, and then when you look into history and you start to realize that they didn't bring people over here who didn't have value. The reason why they brought you over here because you had value. You knew agriculture. Your forefathers knew how to build things. They knew how to do certain things. The only thing that we didn't know how to do was things like speak their language or do things according to their culture, because it was a culture shock. We in a whole new place. You took me away from my family. You took me away from my land. You had me on a boat, people defecating and dying and throwing up, and women's menstrual, and watching children die, watching my loved ones being separated from me. Like, that by itself was enough to cause trauma in people for generations. I mean, even when we look at what happened with the Holocaust, we look at what happened with the Jewish people, and how when you look into their history, everybody sympathizes with them. But when it comes down to black people, nobody really sympathizes us. And when it is, it's like Black Lives Matter. But also, if Black Lives gonna matter, we also gotta count y'all as a minority group that's gonna be tied to this LGBTQ group. Why can't black history just be black history? Why does black history have to be tied and associated with other organizations that has nothing to do with the true torture, the true systematic suppression that our people have went through? And that's what really bothers me. This ain't even what I came out here to talk about. I really wanted to just come up on here and talk about, especially when it come down to young people. You in your mid-20s, you in your 30s, it's important for you, and especially if you're a teenager, to learn your history. Not from a textbook aspect, because textbook only gonna give you so much. Because this is the truth. This is the truth. If we go back to the start of everything, black people weren't looked at as equals. You weren't looked at in a place where you were supposed to gain civil rights. You wasn't supposed to have some notion or expectation to be at the same level of the people who brought you over here to be workers for them to build up their habitation. I mean, even when you look into a lot of European history, they had a lot of wars. They was in a lot of wars. We start looking into how France and Italy and Europe and Rome and Greece, and it wasn't just on black people at first. They had a lot of conflicts amongst each other. So this, I believe, even when I look at that, that's possibly why, in a lot of ways, they was already so dominant when it came down to war and overtaking the people and capitalizing on people, because they was already doing it with one another. And then when they realized, okay, we're gonna kill each other out, they getting sick, and then they realize it's a whole nother landmass they can overtake. Why not go to Africa and get these people, right? And make them our slaves, and we can go somewhere else, find other land. It's a lot that play into that. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't piece that up if I wanted to. But my main part is this. Black people, we gotta start thinking, man. Stop avoiding history. See history for what it is. The thing is, like I said, in America, there's this big culture to silence the truth. You know, the truth of the matter is, like, black people at one point owned millions and millions and millions of acres of land. And then about the time we got to the 20th century, we didn't own half of the land that we owned, because they raised property taxes to where black people couldn't be able to afford it. They still doing it down there in South Carolina. And they building golf courses and stuff like that where the people, the Gullah Geechee people live at, right? So it's a lot. It's a lot, man. What I'm getting at today is, I think about how, these mosquitoes, man, I think about how much of a broken people we are. And I'm just thinking, from me being a young man in my 20s, where would I be if I would have stayed in the path that I was going on when I was 18, 17, before I moved away from my hometown? Where would I be? Because I look at some of my counterparts and I see where they at, man. I just think about back home, it's almost like a rites of passage for you to, what you rep, you know what I'm saying? What are you? What you is? You Crip, you Blood, you Vice Lord, you GD, you see what I'm saying? It's so many different sets, so many different groups, so many different persons. And when I say persons, I'm talking about ways of life that you would walk in when it came down to those different things. Like, but ultimately, it ain't doing no benefit to our culture. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like our people, we done got so trapped into doing the work of the oppressor that is crazy. And it's honestly, when I look at it as, we have this deep frustration within as young black men, even the older, you know what I'm saying? Because even when you start getting to prison and you start looking at how gangs work in prison, it's a lot of politics, you know what I'm saying? But it's the same way when you're looking into it on the street aspect. But when I look at that, and I look at, you can listen to our music today, and young black dudes, all we talk about is killing each other. Sisters, all we talk about is being harlots and boasting in it. You know what I'm saying? And having no self-value. And I don't think people realize that that's a goal. Like, the other nations can live in happy families. They don't talk about killing each other. They like your music when you talk about that. Now, if they talked about killing each other and they women start doing that a lot, that would not be socially accepted, because they understand that when you start dealing with a people that's ruling, you can't carry yourself like that, because that's almost like what's that word? It's a word. When you start to kill yourself, it's suicide. It's another genocide. Like it's like a genocide that's happening of this seed of, this is how you're supposed to be, this is how you accept it, this is how you expect it to be as a black person. We've accepted that so much that that's what we believe to be. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's like a suicide, you know, because our culture is so focused around death. And like I said, it gets so deep because what happened to, the integrity? What happened to the integrity of just being, man, even when you don't agree with somebody, understanding what the bigger picture is. The bigger picture is our people, they had a thing out that in 2053, I had seen this like 4 or 5 years ago. This is what really, one of the big things that like put me up on the drive to really have a passion for my people, when I seen that somebody had did a study and somebody had made a quote. I got to figure out who made that quote. I never looked it up. But in 2053, they was saying that the net worth of black people would be under 1%. You know what I'm saying? And the Spanish people would be a little higher than that. But the thing is this. You got to start seeing enough value in yourself to put the time in to understand who you are. Where do you come from? We get so caught up in wealth and having things and having worldly possessions. You know what I'm saying? Getting bread. You know what I'm saying? But really, when it come down to it, like, what do you do when you get the stuff? Because if you're gonna perpetuate the mindset that they want you to have, then you've already failed. You've already been broken. You see what I'm saying? You ain't rich. You just got a little bread on your side, but you ain't rich. You ain't doing nothing that's really helping your people. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, when it come back down to it, the new norm is they want black people to forget about history. And they want you to forget about history and not think about the fact that the truth of everything that happened to you, the truth of everything that happened to your people, the reason that you are the way that you are is because you just like that. And that's not true at all. You like that because of all these generations of not putting, let me not say that. All these generations of what that happened to us, right? All these generations, like, I mean, it's so many different factors when it come down to your history. Like, I don't think we think about, man. I look at some stories that I might know of that happened to my parents, and that might rest in my head and bother me just because I heard that it happened to them. So imagine seeing it. And it's just happening generation after generation after generation after generation after generation. You know what I'm saying? This narrative that black people are illiterate. And then the sad part really is this. The thug aspect. Like, we just thugs and we just blase. I hate it. I hate it to the core of me. When I go to a store or when I hit a gas station or when I'm riding by somebody or walking by somebody and these little young dudes, like, I ain't gonna say little young dudes, but you know what I'm saying? In mind, I know they young. They still children. They still broken. But these dudes walk around with these boxes on and they pants pulled all the way down and they butt hanging out. That junk bothers me so much, man, because I know we better than that. When I look into history and I know that you come from kings, you come from priests, you come from princes, you come from queens, you come from people that had way more value and understood that they had way more value in themselves. You just don't know, man. It just bothers me, man. But what I'm trying to get at, man, we got to start seeing the value of history. If you in your teenage years, make sure you go study out who am I? You know what I'm saying? Don't fall for this narrative that we all mix and we all mix with this, and man, that's garbage. Because at the end of the day, the way that they separate it here is ethnicity and all that different stuff. But the thing is, like, you got some people that get too radical when it come to stuff, when it come down to the whole skin and color and all that stuff. I use the term black people because black people is associated with a culture. And it's associated with a group of people that do certain things a certain type of way, that live a certain type of lifestyle, that eat a type of way, that dress a type of way, that talk a type of way. You know who I'm talking about when I say that. So there might be somebody that's mixed, and you might say, oh, they not black, they mixed. It all get in this middle ground. Forget the middle ground when it come down to stuff like this. Now, when it come down to business and all that, that's a whole different thing. It's a way that you carry yourself. You respect everybody. You don't treat nobody like they this, and that. But don't let nobody cross over that line and make you feel uncomfortable for being black, because that's that's probably a narrative that's being pushed on them for them to carry out. But at the end of the day, man, this junk is done got out of hand. We done lost who we are. You know what I'm saying? I grew up all my life feeling like I was illiterate. You know what I'm saying? I felt like black people weren't meant to be smart. When the truth of the matter is, we don't have an ingrained confidence in our households where a parent might tell their child, you smart, you wise. We think that we making them prideful if we do that. You know, a parent, instead, we come from a household, a lot of us come from households where you getting cussed out for trying to learn, you being told you stupid, you being told, why you being so dumb? Like, that don't happen in the Gentile home. So, like I said, my main point is black people, we gotta do better. We gotta think a little further than just today. We gotta think further than just our frustrations. We gotta think further than just how we feeling in the moment. Yeah, we tired, but we got extra work to do. Because what are we doing? You know, my chief, my Malek, you know what I'm saying? I learned a lot from that man, you know, and it's really through them that I learned a lot about history. Chief Musha and Chief Yahusha, I learned a lot. Learned to value history on a greater level because I've always had a passion for it. But when they really went into the history, like if y'all can go to I put the link in the description, matter of fact, the Emancipation Proclamation, the Delusion of Emancipation Proclamation video, I think that's the name of it. But it just go into the depth of history, you know, like the truth of it, you know what I'm saying? Especially when I got over here towards the eastern part of America, and I'm living over here, and I start looking into that history. It's too deep, man. Stuff that happened in the Carolinas, how they looked at you, what happened, how all people really just turned on us. And you know what I'm saying? It brings life to the relevance of why the scriptures is important. You know what I'm saying? That's why I can't view the scriptures from a Christian narrative, because it's just too much historical stuff that's proven itself for us to be those people that it's talking about in that book. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough evidence to prove that everybody else is claiming they those people in that book, that they those people, but that them signs is all over us. It said that it would follow us as a sign throughout all our generations. And Deuteronomy 28 verse 40, I believe, through 42, I believe that's the scripture. But my main thing is, man, young men, get on your stuff, bro. If you ain't got no drive to be building your dynasty, building your home, teaching your children. If you ain't got children, be thinking about that. Like, this is my advice. Matter of fact, I'll make that another video. But at the end of the day, you know, be ahead of the ball. Be ahead of the ball. Think about your future. Think about how you're thinking. Look at the state that you in. Are you living for more than just you? Like, and that's how we gotta look at it. Like, I live for more than just me. I know it's people that's depending on me. It's somebody out there that don't know me, that I'm building myself up to the point when I meet them, I'm gonna be able to be what they need. And say if me and that person never even have a conversation, they just watching me. But because I've been rehearsing righteous acts, they able to pick something up off of that. But with that being said, I say shalom, man. I just wanted to chop it up real quick, just about the importance, the value of history, for you to see the value in yourself, for you to see the value in your people. Stop hating your people. Have mercy, have compassion, have an ambition to be the light. You feel what I'm saying? Because all that done been stripped away from us, and we need it back. So with that, I say shalom. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hallelujah.